Are you starting to get a better sense of your starters and or your rotation for the first week?
Still working on it. It's still a work in progress. Due to some unforeseen stuff. I mean, you love these the close scrimmages. You get a lot out of it. You learn a lot about your team, and you play different combinations. But the dark side of it is there's always a chance someone could get injured as a result. So we're dealing with that a little bit with Alonzo Gaffney right now. He came down on a player's foot. And so it's going to be most likely, a couple of weeks with So I just feel terrible for him personally. He's had a great off season. He's been one of our, better players in practices and our European trip, and he's a senior. So, but he's got a great attitude about it. He's already, making strides to get back.
So how many guys would you say are sort of still in the mix for potential starting spots?
I mean, there's still a lot of variables. We feel very optimistic about Adam Miller with his waiver, and that hasn't been ruled on yet. So we'll wait to get word on that, and that would have impact on lineup possibilities. But I think that there's been guys that have stood out, that have kind of separated, and I think we're starting to see through these scrimmages what guys have made an impact on what we were doing, and so I think that leads me in the direction that I would need to get to for minute distribution and those things.
Do you feel like you get a sense of like how deep you might be? What's your perspective on that this year?
Yeah, it's just again, it's going to come down to staying healthy, and certainly I think we have a really good core on the perimeter with the addition of Jose Perez, and he's a very versatile player too. He's a very physical guard. He's older, and he's strong. He could really could guard 1 through 4, and you can do a lot of things with him. From an offensive standpoint to take advantage of some matchups. And so you add a guy like that to the mix really late, which is unusual. I've never added a player so close to the season start. So he's really kind of learning, our system and things. So, but I got a good feeling about what he'll bring. He'll bring like a lot of toughness to our team, a lot of maturity.
Was he kind of an insurance policy in case Miller isn't ruled eligible, or?
I mean, people viewed it like that, but I think as when we're taking steps as a program and we're in the NCAA tournament, you're always like, you don't want to take steps back, and you want to put your team in a position to advance and to have a great season. And I think he's just another really good basketball player that's been added to our team that is going to, I think he's going to have a major impact on what we do this year.
Coach, now that you got the non-conference play right around the corner, what are you trying to hammer into these guys every day at practice for those matchups?
Just how how important it is. I mean, across the board for our league to do well and our metrics to be well, and in the Pac-12 to be viewed as a quality conference is important. But individually, when you are playing against other power conference schools, to try and do the best job you can, so that you get some quality wins in the non-conference. And we didn't really duck anyone in that regard this year. Mississippi State was 11-0 in the non-conference last year, and they were an NCAA tournament team, and very good defensive team and physical team. So we have our work cut out for us next Wednesday.
Coach, adding somebody late like that too, like you're saying, depth-wise. I mean, as you aim, I know it's one game at a time, but looking at non-conference play, conference play, but making that charge towards a tournament with how it ended last year. How big is it, and how much confidence does that give your team to develop depth like that, and even have a guy that could be a starter maybe coming off the bench and just adding that energy?
Yeah, he's. Jose's got an interesting story, but he was a preseason player of the year in his conference before he had to sit out last season in a crazy set of circumstances. If someone wants to research that, I'll feel free to do so, because I'm not going to explain it all to you. But he didn't play last year. It was not injury related. So he was a guy that was almost a 20 per game scorer. So it's rare that a guy like that is available, this late to be picked up. And what I've noticed in practice is his voice, again, his toughness, maturity, and then his ability to pass. Like, we had one of our best passing practices 10 days ago when he first joined the team, and a big part of it was just how he was moving the ball and became contagious amongst our, his teammates.
I'm sure you start You think that basketball IQ just comes from his experience in the game?
Experience, and he's a hard playing kid. I don't want to make this press conference about simply Jose, but he's had a good week, and he's made an immediate impact. And it's hard to win over your teammates right away too, and when a new guy is coming in like this late in the game. But I think he's already shown what he could bring to the table for us.
Just broad strokes, recruiting wise, what sort of conversations are you having with guys that you're recruiting about the move to the Big 12, and are they different conversations than when you were in the Pac-12?
I think it's similar. I mean, we talked about the best things about the Pac-12, and there's a lot of positives about that league and the games that you could play, and the style of play, and West Coast basketball. And this is a little bit different, but I think the Big 12 has a chance based on their recent history and the schools that they've added to be one of the premier basketball leagues, and it already is. And they're adding new franchises to that, so I think it helps in recruiting certainly.
So, Coach, talking about winning over your teammates, you got the non-conference coming up. With such a late addition, how do you feel the team is meshing? You got games around the corner. How do you feel they're meshing? Are they becoming good friends or good teammates?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a little bit of edge to what we did today. I think you start to count down to how many more practices you have before the ball goes up. So I think they're seeing that it's right in front of them. So it's we've been at it a while. I mean, going all the way back to June now on a foreign tour. So there's been a lot of practices. I'm sure they're maybe even tired of hearing me about just the practice situation, and excited for the opportunity of starting the season next week.
Is it on guys like Frankie, Alonzo, Jemiah to kind of help integrate Jose?
Yeah, I think that they've done a pretty good job of making him feel welcome, and I think they see like his skill set and the things that he could do, and that he's unselfish and he's kind of looking for everybody out there. So I could see where it's enjoyable for them to want to embrace him and bring him in. But it's yeah, I mean, I think it's just they see that they want to win, and they had a taste of the NCAA tournament last year, and they know what that feels like, and they know we need to have quality players and options. So I think that's a part of it. But Jose has done a good job of making sure he's doing his part to connect with his teammates too.
Jemiah had a big scoring outburst in your scrimmage. Where is he at now, and do you think that he's ready to be sort of an anchor scorer in this league?
What I loved about Jemiah's performance was just the efficiency of it and how he did it. He didn't force anything, and he's just had a lot of growth in that area. Like, he's always been very talented, and I think the light bulb has really come on for him to just understand that, with his exceptional athleticism and ability to create, that he needs to make sure that he's still getting good shots, quality shots, and that was the real plus about what I saw. Like, he just didn't force the action; it all came to him in the flow of the game, and he put on a great performance. And but I reminded him that it doesn't count, and now it's for real next week.
Coach, is there any added motivation for you this upcoming year, having seen your brother take home a national championship last year?
I approach every year kind of the same way. I just really get the team ready, trying to embrace the season. So I mean, it was enjoyable watching my brother do it, and just special to see him accomplish that. But after really deep reflection, I don't think it's really changed how I am or what I do day in and day out.
Have you decided what the identity, have you, through practices now, seen what you're going to hang your hat on?
I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think we will. We were fairly balanced last year, and I think that's been consistent. We've had in our scrimmages and European trip multiple guys as leading scorers in games, and so I think we have a variety of options we could go to. And then our interior game, I was concerned about losing Warren very late last year, but Sean Phillips has really come on, and he's shown a lot in this off season, a lot of development, and he's going to get better and better as we go. But he's kind of bridged the loss of a guy like Warren, so that was a real positive.
Do you feel like you'll play more bigger lineups when you have like a guy like Lands at 6'8" on the wing, and some of your options that can shoot the ball at the 4?
I think we could go a variety of ways. Kamari could play multiple positions, so can Jose. And especially when we get Zoe back, you certainly can see lineups where we could have really good size and kind of good positional versatility, switching at a lot of things on defense, and just having just a lot more length on the floor too. So, but you could also see some 4-guard looks, particularly as Zoe was out here for the short term.
Does that help you from a identification of your opponents and adjustments within games?
As far as what, Chris?
Like the ability to match up the way that you want to, or take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be just kind of a 90-mile-per-hour fastball every time. You want to have the change up and the slider and all those things. And so yeah, I just think when you have versatile players and you have good size, you could do a lot of things with a roster like that. So I think that there are different combinations that we could go to and play a variety of different ways. And congrats to the Diamondbacks. That was outstanding. And just thinking about the baseball stuff with Terry, I'm very, very happy for for them, and they had a hell of a season. That's what sports is about, to have great stories, like just teams you don't expect to do something special, and they had a terrific run.
I guess I asked that because you've had some teams here that you're very guard driven and you didn't really have a lot of other things you could do, or you had defensive teams that struggle on the offensive end.
Yep.
And you're talking about the identity of this team having more range or versatility.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's blended. I think we have good quick twitch guys that I think will help our activity on defense and our ability to create turnovers, and that's been kind of our bread and butter, to be able to get us in the open floor and take some pressure off our offense. But there's ways that I think we could stabilize the game in the half-court offense that I'm noticing from multiple players. That you could have some guys in ISO, some guys in ball screens, some guys in post-up, some guys in mid-post, in different ways that we could attack our opponents, so we're not as maybe one-dimensional in certain areas.
So to piggyback off that, I mean, do you feel that you've obviously had talented teams here, but is this the most versatile group from top to bottom that you've had in your time here?
I think, Alonzo Gaffney's a key piece. So when we get Alonzo back, especially after the consistency that he showed like all summer and what he did at the end of last year, that this team has an extremely high ceiling, with the new addition of Jose and then the summer we've already had under our belts. So I have high expectations for this team.
Coach, going back,
I can go. You were very complimentary of Kamari Land's last media availability. How do you feel he's come along, and we were just talking about his versatility and the ways that opens up the offense and just the team in general?
Yeah, Kamari's got just a great disposition to how he plays. He understands everything we do. He's picked things up quickly. He's just like a natural scorer. He can do it a variety of ways, and he's really added a punch to our team in that way. And he's hungry. He was a top-rated prospect, and it didn't work out for his last season. And I think he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to reestablish himself and who he is. And he's had a lot of great games already for us, and this to show us there's some potential there for him to have a really good year.
Coach, you touched on that little run the Diamondbacks made, and they were overlooked a lot this year. This year. Does that kind of relate to you, seeing how a lot of the preseason polls don't expect you to be in the upper echelon of the Pac-12, unranked in the AP top 25?
If I didn't think we were any good, then I'd be like, maybe saying about these polls like, maybe they're right. But I get to see these guys every day, so I know it's a bunch of BS. Right? That's just bottom line. I believe in the group. Now, is that going to do us anything next Wednesday? I have no idea. I think once we get and find our stride with the team that we put together, I got a lot of confidence in it. So I don't really care about all that other stuff.
What is this week? A week before the season kicks off, what does that look like for you? Like, what are sort of things are you trying to iron out ahead of the first game?
Well, it's a blend of making sure you're checking all the boxes of things you gotta have to do that you're potentially going to see from your opponent. Also, things you need to clean up just to make sure under out of bounds and press break and all the things. Zone offense, all the things that you need to cover that you may not have spent as much time with over the summer and in the early stages of practice. I'm more big towards conditioning early, so if it's like studying for a test at this point that you didn't study for. If you're not ready, by now, then you're in trouble. So I think our fitness level is really good. So now it's just fine tuning. It's going to be, toeing the line of having a hard practice, but also making sure you're conserving energy at this point. Make sure guys have their legs so that they can perform at the best level they can. And now, even dialing back some of the live work, because of when you lose a guy like Gaffney and it hurts, you just don't want to see something like that happen between now and next Wednesday.
Can you tell us a little bit about your staff newcomers and why you brought them in?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I might need a sheet of paper so I could have have that on hand right now. But it's. We promoted Nick Irvin, which Nick and I hit it off very well. The backgrounds that we share are similar. He's a basketball family in Chicago and high school coach, and I really kind of gravitated to that. Yusuf Ali is a young guy that's great energy, and I think his youthful enthusiasm, particularly in recruiting, he's just going to hit the ground running and do a really good job. But he, brings great energy to practice. Greg Lansing is, was a head coach for 10 years, so he really knows the game, could bring great ideas, new ideas, and a level of experience to our staff. Jaron Skeet played for me at Buffalo. If he didn't hit some of the shots he hit at Buffalo, I never would be here. So he was a heck of a player for me, and so he's here in Mickey Mitchell's role from last year. Am I missing anybody?
I don't think so. Those are the guys.
So yeah, that's. But they're doing a great job. I think everybody has good energy. We're all enthusiastic and a good cohesiveness in the staff. Guys like each other.
Does it, when you have a little bit bigger staff, does that allow you to dive in a little bit deeper into certain areas that maybe you were patchworking previously?
I just think there's more things that we could cover and kind of like boots on the ground, just to make sure we're not missing anything with relation to how we run practice, off the court stuff with our players, and just being on point with everything. It's just when you have a more complete staff like we're able to have, and the resources to have more guys, it just makes everyone's life a little bit easier.
Guys good?